Hello everyone, I'm Taku. Obviously, English is not my first language. I moved to the US in 2005, although it has been 14 years since I started using English in my daily life. There are still many times that I need somebody's help to better understand the language. When we go to see our friends and family, for example, my husband Kevin will modify their English into words that he knows I will comprehend. Although he does not speak Japanese much, he can simplify and repeat what somebody else has said if they are speaking quickly or if their accent is difficult for me to comprehend. Recently, I met a professional English American Sign Language interpreter, Katie, who was working as an interpreter for a deaf student who took one of my courses. I was fascinated with my first experience with the deaf or hard of hearing student. I was pleased to see how much the student was able to be directly involved in not just the learning of lessons, but also the humor and interaction with their fellow classmates. As I've started working more with Katie, I became curious about the experiences of interpreters. So I found one article that focused on post-traumatic growth and interpreters who provide professional help for people who need assistance in a foreign language, such as refugees and asylum seekers in the UK. This study used a semi-structured interview with 8 interpreters who worked in a range of settings such as hospitals, prisons, and courts for between 3 and 8 years. As a result, they found that interpreters can experience PTG vicariously as a result of working with their clients who experienced multiple traumas. The interpreters observe the full process of clients going through traumatic circumstances. This experience helps the interpreters increase their meaning of life and a sense of professional identity. Researchers found several themes in how interpreters experienced vicarious PTG based on their professional work. One of the themes was a strong sense of empathy. Using phrases such as I saw or I felt, interpreters will often speak of traumas of others as if the traumas were their own. Due to this empathy and verbatim translation into first-person language, they increase their involvement in the story, which can echo another's experience onto themselves. Since these interpreters were able to work in the same settings for many years, they often helped refugees and asylum seekers to adjust to a new life or resolve some legal problems. This means that interpreters can process their clients' feelings from despair to gratitude, and the interpreters are privy to any positive end result. This helps the interpreters experience growth and recognize the importance of their role in these situations. Another theme they reported was finding your own way to deal with it. According to their interview, interpreters aimed to develop a shield so they don't feel being sucked in by their clients' powerful experiences and their own experiences. Unfortunately, the use of first-person language can prevent them from maintaining the necessary psychological distance to do so. This is the main difference between interpreters and other first responders or healthcare professionals who have been disproportionately represented in studies of those who typically report vicarious PTG. According to Katie, some of this vulnerability to vicarious trauma comes from the expectation of conveying multiple roles. Although the doctor can maintain a consistent role as a healthcare provider, and the patient can experience a consistent role as a receiver of healthcare services, the interpreter's role is not so simple. The interpreter has the concurrent first-person language use of the healthcare professional giving the prognosis and also speaking as the patient receiving their prognosis, while at the same time maintaining their own role as a professional who has to facilitate the communication between the two languages and cultures involved. In an article from Psychology Today entitled Vicarious Trauma and the Professional Interpreter, an interpreter states, quote, "Because you are constantly saying I, you start associating with the story much more than if you were just reading or hearing about it, and you unwittingly start to absorb the trauma as if it were your own." Although vicarious PTG has been traditionally studied in regards to healthcare professionals like counselors, physicians, nurses, social workers, and emergency workers, the unique challenges inherent in the interpreting process provide a much-needed venue for additional studies. Before I end this episode, I want to thank Katie for her collaboration in this work. Thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe to my channel.